There's a town in America where your nearest neighbor is a 3-hour drive away, and people consider that close. We're obsessed with connectivity, fiber internet, same-day delivery, and being 10 minutes from everything. Meanwhile, there are towns where the population fits inside a minivan, and nobody's complaining. They're choosing it on purpose. Today, we're counting down 10 isolated towns where people actually live and why they stay. From Alaska settlements where the sun disappears for months, to one place that's literally just one person running an entire government. By the end, you'll either want to buy cheap land in the middle of nowhere or realize you're way too soft for this. Subscribe, because understanding how people live at the edges tells you everything about what matters in the middle. Number 10, Wisdom, Montana. Wisdom has 98 people, 1 bar, and winter temperatures that make your freezer look tropical. Population under 100. Median home price is around $180,000. January averages minus 10 degrees Fahrenheit before wind chill. Jobs are ranching, tourism, or you bring your own income. Cost of living, 5% below the national average, which matters less when the nearest Walmart is 70 miles away. But people don't just survive here, they prefer it. What nobody tells you, Wisdom records some of the coldest temps in the continental US. Negative 50 degrees Fahrenheit, negative 60 degrees Fahrenheit on bad nights. Your truck doesn't start. Your thoughts freeze mid-sentence. Financially, you're trading convenience for breathing room. No mortgage panic, no bidding wars, just land and sky. Living here means trade-offs. Thai food? Learn to cook. Emergency room? Hope it's not urgent. Social life? The bar, the post office, or yourself. Picture this. You wake to absolute silence. No cars, no sirens, no leaf blowers. Just cold air, massive sky, and quiet that forces you to hear your own thoughts. For some, that's terrifying. For others, it's the whole point. Number 9, Rampart, Alaska. Rampart has 24 people, no road access, and a ferry that only runs when the river cooperates. You can't drive here. You fly in, boat in summer, or ice road in winter. Population around 24 year-round. No real estate market. Cost of living 40% above the national average. Milk costs $8 to $10. Fresh produce has frequent flyer miles. Crime rate is 0 because there's nobody to rob and nowhere to escape to. What nobody tells you, places like Rampart operate on different economics. Money matters less than skill. Can you fish, hunt, fix a generator in minus 30 degrees Fahrenheit? Then you're rich in ways Rampart values. Medical emergencies mean evacuation by plane if the weather allows. Winters stretch 8 months. You're not popping out for coffee. You're planning supply runs like military operations. But financially, you're opting out of the rent trap entirely. No landlord, no HOA. Just you, the river, and a community that knows when you need help. Imagine waking to the Yukon River gliding past your cabin. Wood stove crackling. Northern lights overhead. No notifications. Just life measured in seasons, not quarters. Would you trade your commute for this? Drop a comment. Number 8, Hyder, Alaska. Hyder is technically in Alaska, but you have to drive through Canada to get there. Population around 60. Here's the comedy. Hyder connects to Stewart, British Columbia, by road, but has no road to the rest of Alaska. To reach other parts of your own state, you drive through another country. Rent basically doesn't exist. The cost of living is high due to remoteness. Jobs are tourism, fishing, and mining. Crime rate is nearly non-existent. No police force. They rely on Canadian Mounties from Stewart. What makes Hyder weird? It operates on Alaska time but uses Canadian currency. They call themselves the friendliest ghost town in Alaska. What nobody tells you, Hyder embraced its absurdity. Living here means complications. Mail from the US, groceries from Canada. The nearest hospital is an hour away in another country. The upside? Glacier viewing from your porch. Bears wandering through town. Salmon runs so thick you question reality. Can we acknowledge the border situation? You don't casually run to the store. You cross an international boundary. Forgot your passport? Your milk stays in Canada. Number 7. Bettles, Alaska. Bettles has a population under 20 and half work at the one place, keeping the town alive. Bettles sits just north of the Arctic Circle. Population 12 to 15 year-round. One lodge, one airstrip, endless wilderness. No real estate market. The cost of living is astronomical. Jobs are lodge operations, aviation support, or you're independently wealthy and weird. Crime rate 0. Can't rob your boss when they're also your landlord and your only supply source. What nobody tells you, living here means choosing roles, not careers. You're a pilot, cook, mechanic, and medic in 1 week. Specialization is a luxury. Adaptability is survival. You're not making much in wages, but expenses are covered if you work at the lodge. Trading income for experience, stability for stories. Summer brings tourists and 24-hour daylight. Winter brings darkness, isolation, and understanding you're truly alone. Let's address the darkness. Winter at the Arctic Circle means months of limited sunlight. Your body gets confused, your mood dips. You fight back with routines and knowing summer will return. That's Bettles. Not for everyone. Maybe not for anyone, but for the dozen who stay, it's exactly right. Number 6. Talkeetna, Alaska. Talkeetna has 900 people, no stoplights, and had a cat as mayor for 20 years. Population around 900. Median home price, $280,000. Rent $900 to $1,400. Cost of living 15% above the national average. Jobs are in tourism, guiding, aviation, or remote work. Crime rate low. But Talkeetna is isolated by choice, not geography. This is where climbers stage before Denali, where artists and people tired of normal rules end up. They had a cat named Stubbs as mayor for 2 decades. Not a mascot, a cat. What nobody tells you, Talkeetna is isolated culturally. You're 100 miles from Anchorage, but a million miles from caring about trends or status. You can survive without wealth, but you need hustle. Tourism pays in summer. Winter is slow, better have saved. Living here means embracing eccentricity. Dirt roads, log cabins, and a brewery as the social hub. You know everyone. Drama happens, but resolves because there's nowhere else to go. The moose are everywhere, not cute. Massive, unpredictable, completely unbothered. You don't mess with moose. You wait for them to leave. Talkeetna isn't isolated by necessity. It's isolated by preference. And once you get used to it, everywhere else feels wrong. Number 5. Angle Inlet, Minnesota. Angle Inlet is the northernmost point in the contiguous U.S., and you drive through Canada to get there. The northwest angle is a geographical quirk where the border was drawn weirdly and left Minnesota stranded above the 49th parallel. Population around 60 year-round. No U.S. road connects it to Minnesota. You boat across Lake of the Woods or drive through Manitoba. Either way, international borders for groceries. Real estate is mostly seasonal cabins. Cost of living elevated. Jobs are fishing, guiding, and resorting. Crime rate 0. What makes this fascinating? It's the US, but it operates in a bubble. Kids go to school in Canada. Medical care in Canada. Residents navigate 2 currencies, 2 systems, and 2 countries to exist in one location. What nobody tells you, border enforcement is casual. Special crossing agreements exist. The system works on trust. Winter means the lake of the woods freezes. You're driving on ice roads, terrifying the first dozen times, then just normal. Your truck breaks through and you die. No pressure. Imagine waking in a cabin on the lake. Ice stretches to the horizon. You check ice conditions and head out fishing. No emails, no meetings. Just you, the ice, and hope your heater doesn't quit. Number 4. Whittier, Alaska. Whittier is a town where nearly everyone lives in one building, and leaving requires a one-way tunnel on a schedule. Population around 270. Roughly 75% live in Begich Towers, a single 14-story former Army barracks. This isn't a metaphor, it's infrastructure. Rent runs $500 to $900. Cost of living 20% above average. Jobs are port operations, tourism, and fishing. The crime rate is low because everyone lives in the same building. But here's the bizarre part. The only land route is a 2.5-mile one-lane tunnel that alternates traffic on a schedule. Miss your window? You wait. It closes at night. The weather can shut it down for days. What nobody tells you: living in Begich Towers is permanent dorm life with adults and jobs. The building has a school, a store, a church, clinic. You can live your entire life without stepping outside. Rent is cheap, jobs exist. But you're trading autonomy for convenience. You can't just leave. You plan around a hole in a mountain. Privacy is a concept, not a guarantee. Your neighbors are in the hallway, elevator, and laundry room. Whittier isn't isolated geographically. It's isolated logistically. And that might be weirder. Number 3, Supai, Arizona. There's a town in America where mail arrives by mule, and that's not a gimmick. That's infrastructure. Supai sits 8 miles inside the Grand Canyon. For the Havasupai tribe, this isn't a destination. It's home. No roads in. 0. You hike, helicopter, or ride horseback. Population 200 to 300. The crime rate is extremely low. Rent and home ownership are tribal land only. Cost of living is high. Supplies are flown or packed in. Jobs are tribal government, tourism, healthcare, and education. What nobody tells you: isolation hits different when it's chosen and inherited. Everything takes effort. Groceries, construction, emergency care. But you gain something most places lost: continuity, family, land, memory. Supai doesn't have Amazon Prime, but it has waterfalls so blue they look photoshopped and neighbors who know your grandparents. Tourists hike down with 0 water and bad shoes, shocked that the canyon is hot, steep, and indifferent. This isn't Disneyland with stairs. Imagine waking to canyon walls glowing red at sunrise. Cold river water. Quiet, not empty quiet, but living quiet. No traffic, just time moving slower because it has nowhere else to be. Number 2. Utqiagvik, Alaska. There's a town where the sun disappears for 2 straight months, and nobody moves. Utqiagvik sits 320 miles above the Arctic Circle. No roads in or out. You fly here or don't come. Population approximately 4,400. Average winter temps minus 20 degrees Fahrenheit before wind chill. Cost of living is 60 to 70% above the U.S. average. Rent $1,500 to $2,000 for normal apartments. Polar night is real, roughly 65 days without sunrise. Then, in the summer, the sun refuses to clock out. Midnight daylight. Jobs are government, oil support, utilities, and education. Crime is higher than average but mostly nonviolent. Isolation does weird things. What nobody tells you: when the world goes quiet, community gets loud. Groceries arrive by plane. Milk costs $7 to $9. Fresh produce has jet lag. Amazon Prime laughs at you. But the trade-off is knowing your neighbors notice when you're gone. Let's talk layers. You don't get dressed. You assemble armor. Parka so big it has emotional weight. You're not leaving casually. You plan. You commit. Picture stepping outside at noon and it's pitch black. Snow crunching. Streetlights are glowing like sci-fi. Air so cold it feels sharp. Then someone waves, knows your name, asks if you're eating tonight. Number 1. Minoe, Nebraska. Minoe has a population of 1. She's the mayor, the bartender, and yes, she files taxes on herself. Minoe is the only incorporated town in America with exactly 1 person, Elsie Eiler, late 80s. She runs the Minoe Tavern, grants herself a liquor license, pays municipal taxes to herself, and files annual reports. This is legal. This is real. The crime rate is 0 unless Elsie commits a crime against herself. The cost of living is whatever Elsie decides. The job market is fully employed. Unemployment 0%. Her husband passed away in 2004. She stayed. Now she's a town. What nobody tells you, Minoe functions. Elsie pays taxes, maintains infrastructure, and keeps the bar open for visitors. She embodies isolation and stubborn community preservation. The bar brings in enough to keep running. She's not rich, but self-sufficient. She owns her land, building, and entire town. Can we appreciate the bureaucracy? Elsie holds every elected office. She votes for herself, wins 100% of elections, files paperwork for herself. Peak efficiency or cry for help? Maybe both. Picture this. Elsie opens the bar, turns on the lights. A truck pulls up. Someone from nearby stops for a beer. They talk, laugh. When they leave, she's alone again. No noise, no drama. Just quiet, routine, and knowledge. She outlasted everyone. Most of us can't handle being alone with our thoughts for 10 minutes. Elsie built a life around it. She didn't retreat from the world. She stayed when the world retreated from her. 10 places most people will never visit and wouldn't survive if they did. Here's the pattern. Isolation isn't failure. It's a filter. These towns refined. The people who stayed aren't trapped. They're selective. They traded convenience for space, noise for silence, crowds for control. Yeah, most of us aren't moving to Alaska or Nebraska. But understanding why people choose these places matters because it highlights what we're trading in cities: autonomy, quiet, and actual community. The world's getting louder, more expensive, more connected, and somehow more isolating. Maybe the people in these forgotten corners aren't the crazy ones. Maybe they just did the math differently. Subscribe if you like deep dives into places that don't make sense until they do. Like the video if you're currently Googling cheap land in Montana. Drop a comment. Which town would you try? Which would you refuse? And is Elsie living the dream or the nightmare? I'm not saying you should move to an isolated town. I'm just saying you'll think about it now.